up, and welcome back to another Koze Daily Brew. Today I wanted to talk about how all human emotions deserve to be felt. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because something that I've always kind of struggled with my whole online just posting videos and all that stuff is that I guess one thing I feel like I've always done with my videos and always done with just my channels in general is I've always been very kind of maybe sometimes overshare, but I've always been very kind of brutally honest with my feelings. I feel like I'm a feeler by nature, and due to that, and due to the fact that, there's only so many things that I feel like I am an expert in, my feelings is definitely up on the list, and I try, I guess, to make my intention when I'm creating videos to take my life experiences, whether they be good or they be bad, and find a way to share. And find a way to share them in a way that might be relatable to other people, or just make other people feel like it's okay to feel the way that they feel. The reason why I've struggled with that sometimes is because sometimes I myself get insecure with the vulnerability that comes from feeling some of the not so fun emotions that come with being human. And I wanted to talk about it today because I think that it's, first of all, iconic that, mental health has become such a common concept online, especially, and I feel like we're all way more aware than we used to be of how important it is, and how talking about these things and not kind of keeping all of these vulnerable feelings tucked away and hidden from the world is important, because it's, I guess, in a lot of ways humanizing how normal it is. But it's still definitely, I think, a struggle for all of us. I mean, maybe not, I can only speak for myself, but it still sometimes can be a struggle to just be like, hey, I'm kind of going through some shit right now, or to feeling more anxious than usual, or to notice yourself just not having the zest that you did for life, even just last week, or if you're going through bouts of depression, or if you're talking about a lot of for instance, when I posted about a lot of my family struggles, that was really hard for me because I felt like, one, I was being very, very vulnerable, and two, even though I was talking about a lot of normal human emotions, there's a lot of almost weird guilt that comes from people just thinking that you're not doing okay, I guess, or maybe we all feel like we have to kind of paint a happy face on all the time and always just make everybody think that we've always got everything covered, that we're nailing it, that our lives are as completely perfect and articulate as our Instagram feeds, and that's just definitely 112% not the case. And so I wanted to talk about this today because I feel like, for one, I am definitely somebody that loves a good aesthetic. I love, love, love a good aesthetic in the sense that I feel like it's kind of a niche of mine. I love taking moods and being able to just pull on different inspirational things that feed into one mood and creating almost a full visual or a full representation of exactly what I'm picturing. A good example of that might be Catcher. I feel like when you think of Catcher, if you've read the book that I wrote, self-promo, just going for it, but I wrote this book called Catcher, and the whole idea behind it was that it was going to be dreamy, and it was going to be cloudy, and it was going to be just all the moods, cotton candy clouds and northern lights and the sound of raindrops and love and just all of these different things, and also the future and technology, and I just created this whole visual and this whole mood, and I wanted everything to kind of feed into it. I'm getting somewhere with this, just stick with me. But I also feel with social media, when I think about my videos and I think about my Instagram, I also do the same thing there. But one thing that I think we all maybe don't do as much is let the aesthetic fall away every now and then and just get mad real. And I feel like I do that sometimes with you guys in videos, but I definitely want to talk about it more today because I feel like anyone watching this, anyone at all, including myself, future me if I'm watching this, I want, I guess, the whole world to know. This is just I feel like that girl in Mean Girls that's just I just want everyone to get along. But I just want the whole world to know that all human emotion deserves to be felt. And that's such an important statement because I feel like every time I've gone through phases where I've really suppressed the way that I'm feeling because I felt too vulnerable, or it felt too imperfect to feel that way, or it felt too weak almost in a way. It's almost if you feel like you're kind of going through a weird rut, or you're not as inspired, or you just don't have the energy, or you're just finding yourself kind of self-sabotaging, but you are struggling to talk about it because you don't want to seem weak in someone else's eyes, or maybe you hate the look of sympathy that people give when like you're like, I'm just kind of going through a rough time. Like that's a big thing for me, is I hate that, like that look will just get me every time. Hence why I started going to therapy instead, because my therapist don't give me that look. She's like, I understand. I'm like, thank you. This is a normal thing, right? Like I'm not going crazy. And then she's like, it's another topic for another time. But all human emotion does deserve to be felt, and it's kind of just like inevitable that because I'm human, you're human, we're all human, that we're all probably gonna feel almost all of those emotions on one scale or another, 1 to 10, who knows, at some point in our lives. And so I feel like the faster this world, our whole society gets used to embracing all of the facets that come with being human, the faster we all start to feel more of a community again. Not that maybe we don't, but just a new level or another strength, another bar of community. Because I think, first of all, it's hard, one, because when it does come to mental health, there's two very different things. There are definitely human emotions, and then there's definitely actual like struggling with mental health issues. And when someone is struggling with mental health, I definitely think that it is important to reach out and to make sure your friends are okay, and to make sure other people are okay, and just screw the sympathy and screw what people are thinking. Like if you're going through something right now and you need to hear this, like reach out to somebody, call a helpline, call a friend. Who cares about your pride? Who cares about your ego? You just need to do it. But I also feel like the other side of that is like, maybe you're not going through something that's that heavy or that complicated, but you're also feeling like it's hard to accept, swallow down, and, confide in the fact that maybe you're kind of going through a bad time, a sad time, a time where you might be feeling more angry than usual, or a time where I just did a whole Koze Daily Brew on insecurity, and maybe you don't want to admit it, but you're noticing that your thought patterns are going to very kind of insecure places, and you're kind of being mean to yourself, whatever it is. But I guess the whole concept that I wanted to come to you today with is the fact that it's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's totally okay to think that way. It's totally okay to feel the way that you feel, because it is human. And the fact that it is human, it means that it has a purpose, and maybe you don't see it yet. One of my favorite quotes is I don't know if you guys have heard this quote before, but in the end, it's going to be okay. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end. It means that you're still on the journey. And so when you think about it, all of the worst and hardest times in your life that you can look back on, tell me that those also weren't some of the biggest points of your life of growth, like monumental growth that made you so much better today. So who's to say that if you're going through a weird thing right now and you're not feeling very comfortable to talk about it, that this weird thing might also be another point in your life that you look back on and go, oh shit, like I learned a lot from that, or I grew a lot from that, or I discovered that going through that, which is, I feel like my own personal experience with this is exactly how I felt, is that looking back on even just like 6 months ago, when I felt like I was in a really, really weird place, but I was still creating content, and I was still like, guys, I'm fine. I'm not fine, but I'm fine. Because like I just didn't want the sympathy, I didn't want the people, like I just wanted to figure it out on my own, but I also was okay, but I also felt like I wasn't sure where I felt most comfortable to talk about how I felt. Looking back on that now, I'm learning that that whole period taught me that everything I was feeling then was so human and so valid that it doesn't need to be swept under a rug. It doesn't need to be tucked away in a corner to be forgotten about now that it's gone away. It needs to be embraced, and it needs to be, focused on, and you need to learn the lessons from it, and you need to talk about it. And I'm kind of talking just again to myself, but just, I guess, looking back on any time that, even the times where I was struggling more heavily with my mental health, like going through serious phases of depression, and going through phases where my anxiety, like panic attacks and social anxiety, felt like it was controlling my life. And I always just felt like, where do I feel safe to just like unpack these feelings? And the reason why I never felt fully safe to unpack those feelings was because I never gave myself the chance to feel okay with the fact that everything I was feeling in that moment was so human and so okay. It didn't make me weak. It didn't make me any less of a human, and it didn't make me any less of a, great person too. Like, your strengths don't get dulled by your weaknesses. If you're going through a phase right now where you feel like the emotions you're feeling aren't maybe the best emotions, it doesn't take away from any of your strengths. It doesn't take away from all of the things that you love and all of the things that make you you. It doesn't take away from the way you take your coffee, or, you know, the way your dog loves you, or your pet, your cat, your whoever loves you, or your parents love you, or your friends love you. It doesn't take those things away. If anything, just makes you more human. And the more human we all get, and the more human we all embrace ourselves and other people, the better this whole freaking world gets. Am I right or am I right? I know that that's a very hop, skip, and a fast little jump to just bettering the world, but truly embracing your emotions, all of them, because they all deserve to be felt, and embracing them in a way that you don't necessarily identify with your feelings, but you embrace them, you accept them, and then once you've made peace with it, that's when you're able to work through it. It isn't until you make peace with how you feel that you're able to actually push through how you feel and get to the lesson on the other side. So in case any of you guys needed to hear this today, however you're feeling, be it happy, be it excited, confident, insecure, maybe a little down in the dumps, maybe you're a little angry, maybe you're feeling a little jealousy, maybe you're feeling, I'm just gonna start throwing them out there, like timid, lackluster, maybe you're feeling excited, creative, all of those things. Those are all human. And they're all, I'm not gonna say at the end of the day, but I just did, teaching you something and bringing you somewhere and helping you grow and evolve just more into all the human that we all are. There you guys have it. Those are my rambling thoughts today on human emotion and how they all deserve to be felt. So leave me a comment down below. I want to hear what you guys think on the topic. And aside from that, I'll talk to all of you guys in tomorrow's Koze Daily Brew. Bye guys.